This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, it's now 6:30 and I'll call this town council meeting to order. The first thing that we'll have is the invocation by Mark Minton from the Discovery Church.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, we give you thanks and praise today because you have provided this day and you have blessed us with more blessing than we really can contain. And Father, I thank you for the folks here that are serving our community. I thank you for their willingness and their heart to serve. I thank you that you've allowed them to do that. Father, as we spend time here today to discuss important matters, I pray that you would bring a spirit of unity, a spirit of grace and of love, and that you would bless this time, that it would be fruitful, that you would be honored in it, and that you would give great blessing to it. As you do that, we will give you praise because we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, this evening we are going to have a public hearing on ordinance 230954, an ordinance of the town of Surfside Beach to amend fiscal year 2022-2023 municipal budget. Are there any public comments? Well, that was quick. So the public hearing is now closed. And we'll move right along to the next thing, which is the motions relating to the agenda. Do we have any motions relating to the agenda? Okay. The next thing is the minutes approval, and these are the minutes approvals for March 14th, 2023.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the minutes for March 14th of 2023.
Okay. Is there any discussion before we vote on it? Sherry, will you do a roll call, please?
Mr. Drake,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Kreckball,
Yes.
Ms. Keating,
Yes.
Mr. Holder,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey.
Yes.
Mayor Hillier.
You want me?
Oh, Mayor Hillier.
Yeah. Okay, so that passed unanimously. The next thing is public comments, and these are public comments relating to agenda items. Okay, we have no public comments either. We're moving right along. The next thing is communications, and the first thing on communications is the administrator's report from the interim administrator.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and community. Thank you all for coming this evening. So just a few items from the administrative report is Tabitha, our social media and events coordinator, wanted me to mention that Neil and Pam's will have a ribbon cutting ceremony on March the 31st at 4 p.m. and all are welcome. I think they had a soft opening yesterday. It was good to see Neil and Pam's back open. So that was great to see. So again, that's March 31st. That's this Friday at 4 p.m. All is welcome. Our Facebook page continues to grow. We now have over 27,000 followers, and that is great considering where we started. So Tabitha continues to put a lot of great information on our Facebook page, and we hope that that number will continue to grow with followers. There's an Easter egg hunt and a children's fair that will be held at the Huckabee Field on Saturday, April the 8th from 1 to 4. And Easter sunrise service will be April the 9th at 6:30 a.m. in front of the River City Cafe on the beach. John Adair wanted me to remind the community that the hazardous household waste and unwanted electronics drop-off event for the town of Surfside Beach residents only will be on April the 14th, 15th, 16th and September 15th, 16th, and 17th. That's at the Surfside Beach Public Works Facility. It's 740 Sandy Lane from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. I'll make sure that Tabitha posts something on our Facebook page about that, where it talks about accepted items that you can drop off. Fire department, I'm happy to report that we have filled all of our current vacancies, and I just had Captain start, Kevin Wiltbank. He just started actually today as his first day, and he comes to us with over 32 years of experience, and the majority of that spent in Horry County. So we are very happy to have Kevin, and he is going to help us a lot with the programs that he is very familiar with, and will continue to grow better as a fire department. So you will see him probably at a council or two meeting. We'll have him here to do a swearing ceremony. I want to remind our community that we are in the budget season, and staff and council are actively working on the FY 23-24 budget. We had our first work session on March the 23rd, and we had great discussion with council and the department heads, and we were given some direction as department heads, along with Diana sitting there, who's done a tremendous job putting all this together, that we needed to sharpen our pencils and go back to work and figure out where we can cut some costs on some of the things that we need to make sure that this town is taken care of and is the best that it possibly can be. So we have already started that process. We started that last week. The next session is Monday, April the 3rd at 9 a.m. for the Civic Center, and we encourage the community to come out and participate in those budget workshops. Some important dates to remember for the budget, and again, this will be posted on the website and will also be posted on our Facebook page, is our third work session will be April the 13th. The first reading and public hearing is May the 23rd, and June the 13th is the second reading. So there's a lot happening with our budget. We also had the first round of interviews for the administrator, vacant administrator position last Friday, and the finalists will be interviewing with town council at a special session on Wednesday, April the 5th at 10 a.m. So we have done that after talking with council. We think that is very important to have a special session like that. And the community is welcome to come and sit and watch the interview and look at your potential candidates that may be for the administrator position. And with that, Mayor, that's all I have, sir.
Okay, the next thing is the peer update, and that's you also.
It is. So I normally start with this, but the pier, again, is moving along. And as far as the construction status, Consensus and Intercoastal Marine continue installation of the composite decking along the length of the pier. You probably noticed that, along with the railing. ICM is continuing the demobilization of the temporary pier, and they are 90% complete with the construction of the timber railing. As far as the buildings, the electricians are currently scheduling a final inspection before all the buildings will be energized by the transformer, and we're continuing installation of the glass. And the abrasion of the exterior of Building A for the resurfacing application is underway. The podium spray insulation, Consensus provided a change request in the town, and the design team are currently reviewing that. And the design team is in the process of reviewing the gate system at the end of the pier. The shade structure should start, they should start construction on that towards the end of the week, and that will be at the end of the pier. I want to take a couple minutes with council to make a recommendation regarding the security cameras that council voted on and approved at the April 14th council meeting. We discussed the installation and the cost associated with the cameras, and this discussion led to a motion and a second that was approved by council. But along with that approval, there was the removal of the 30-day general condition days that Consensus had put into that change order. This was communicated with consensus, and their response did not comply with the council vote. And just to reiterate, that change order was, consensus was to remove the additional charge for 30 days for those general conditions, but are requesting that the contract be extended an additional 60 days. So what they are doing, they're removing the 30 days, but they are extending the contract by 60 days. And they're not charging for the general condition days, but they would extend that contract by 60 rather than the 30 general condition days. This also reserves the right to deem necessary general condition days that could be part of the 60-day contract extension. So the reason why I mention that is that could potentially cost the town more money. There's $190,000 now that was recommended, and that was the cost for the security cameras on the pier. And understanding that that was a change and that there would have to be time involved, I think the thing that myself and the design team was they removed the 30 days, but they added 60 days to extend the contract. So it is my recommendation at this time, after talking with the design team, that we delay the installation of the security cameras until the pier is finished, and then we can go back and we can put the security cameras in. So something for your consideration, but that would be my recommendation.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, typically when they add the general condition days, that covers things like, due to the additional work scope, we have to extend the schedule. That, alleviates any pressure for liquidated damages, but it also includes additional warranty obligations, extension of our all builders risk insurance policy, which is, about $12,000 a month. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, I haven't seen the change notice. Unfortunately, I was sick the last time we met on this, so I'm not privy to exactly what was requested, but I would caution just blanketly saying we're not accepting the general conditions extensions, because there is real cost behind some of those attributes that by contract we have burdened the contractor with, as far as when we add scope to the contract. So I would caution that we go take a deeper dive into exactly what is associated with the added scope, materials and labor, but what is the added price for the general conditions, which is insurance and, some of the other burdens that are in the contract.
Yes, ma'am. I know that I think the thing that the design team and what we felt was that without all of those things that you mentioned as far as the builder's risk and all of that, I don't remember that being in the change order, but it was, they had already extended the contract 30 days. When council said that they would approve it, but they took the 30 days out, them adding the 60 days just seemed that was unwarranted for a 60-day contract extension. And just not saying that, no, we need the 30 days, because this is a change order. This is something extra that the town wants to do, which absolutely is. So we were quite frankly taken back by the 60-day extension and not just saying, no, we need the 30 days, and me coming back and saying that they would not accept that.
So your recommendation is that basically we had agreed to, or we had put in a contingent that, they do it as long as they take out the 30 days. They did not take out the 30 days. So your recommendation is that we remove that offer right there, since it was not accepted, and that we just do it at the end?
That is.
We reevaluate it at the end?
Yes, sir, that is my recommendation. And that recommendation is based on, could there be additional costs within, I mean, the contract extension, what would that look like? I don't have a number for you on that, but just looking at it, from a common sense perspective and talking with, Collins and with LS3P and where this is at, I feel that's a prudent decision to do at this point in time. Obviously, council can change that decision, but I just wanted to bring that in front of you, so you would know where we were at, because they did not accept what council voted on and approved for me to take forward to consensus.
And do you know what, by them extending it 60 days, like they said, do we have a per day amount that 60 days would equate to?
We do, but I do not remember that off the top of my head. That would be
I'm
something
trying
I
to
could get
figure
back
out
with.
whether that, if they did, if that exceeds what we would have paid to have it done afterwards. Because we had already said it was gonna cost us $190,000. They said that they could do it for 80.
Right, that 190,000 included, the labor from consensus, the cameras, and the 30-day general condition.
Chief, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Chief, on this 60-day extension you're talking about, what exactly is the 60 days come to? I mean, why are they asking for 60 days?
They're asking for 60 days because they think that could be the time frame that it would take to put the cameras in. So, and it could be that, depending on the other work that's on that the pier would need, or that they would need to do other projects, that it would be encompassed in that 60 days. So, and I'm not sure what that looks like, Mr. Staney. I know I'm just dealing right now with just the cameras.
Yes, sir.
As far as what that 60 days could encompass for others, I don't know that. To be respectful to consensus, I don't know what that looks like. I know that you all had voted, they did not accept it, so it was prudent to bring it back in front of council. I hope that answers your question, sir,
Sort of.
as best I possibly could.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, are we still sitting on April 16th as a dead date?
So the date, so the April the 16th date was supposed to be the substantial completion date, and that date has been moved to May the 2nd. So the date's been moved to May the 2nd because of the railing spec, which was something that was a discussion for a long time, and the HVAC layout. So the HVAC layout came into play because the building space, or the lease space, some of our tenants wanted to use the second floor. So, but the second floor had HVAC equipment right in the middle of the floor. So as we were working through that issue, and from discussions that happened specifically with Painter's Ice Cream, they needed that space. So as we got prices for that, I made the decision and approved a change order because it made sense to accommodate our leasee as far as going into that space. So that did add time, which we've paid for, and it also added a change order because that needs to be removed. There's areas where they can remove that equipment. So to answer your question right now, from consensus perspective, we're looking at May the 2nd for substantial completion. But remember, that's substantial completion. That's not completion. There's still a punch out list. There's other things. And then we're still working on the fire suppression system and the spray foam installation. So that's really the two big things that are out there right now for us to work through. And then, of course, the cameras.
But some of that stuff is not, shouldn't be added on as extension days, because that was in the standard bid of the contract.
The insulation, spray foam insulation was, when we did the change for the equipment on the second floor, I mean, there's some delay there for days. I mean, that has to, so that's fair.
And then the completion date on the fire suppression system, that was in the schedule of work too, at the beginning too, wasn't it, sir?
there was, and we have a timeline of how all of that played out. We're still working with that. We don't know exactly, the approvals and everything have been done. So now there's consensus is working on that now. I actually, spoken by text with John and Brian today, and they are actively working on getting that suppression system in.
Okay, so what you're doing is you're telling us that you would like the council to review what you had just told us and to either accept or reject the counteroffer that was hereby made by consensus. Is that,
Yeah,
is
yes,
that
sir.
correct?
Yes, sir, because the original vote was to remove the 30 days condition, and now I have a change order that they do not. So I'm looking at Sherry, and that's no vote.
You can't take a vote in communication.
Okay. So that's to make you aware of it. I guess that'd be something we'd have to come back
Okay,
to vote on.
all right.
Well, but I don't know that you have to re-vote on it. There was an offer made by council that has been rejected. You've notified council that has been rejected, period. I don't think we need another vote to say council agrees it's been rejected.
You're right, makes sense, yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, thank you. And don't go away because we got you next for the Santee Cooper president.
No,
Actually,
no.
that got
Those
moved,
two.
sir, under,
B.
business. We moved that.
Go to
We
business.
have to take a vote on that.
Oh, okay. I take that back. Now we're gonna go to the business section. And the first thing is ordinance 230954, the 2022 to 2023, an ordinance for the town of Surfside Beach to amend fiscal year 22-23 municipal budget.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the amended budgets of ordinance 230954 for the 22-23 year.
I second it. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. This is basically just housekeeping that we wanted to clean up before the end of the year so that the numbers would not look so strange. We're going to amend five different funds. The general fund, we're going to remove $288,675 for the SAFER grant, which we did not get. So the revenue is overstated by that, and so is the salaries for the fire department. So we'll bring it back in line. Accommodations, we had about $300,000 left from last year. And this is the approval of $251,000 that we went through at one of the previous meetings. The projects are listed on a separate page. I can go through them if you want. The police department, they wanted capital signer boards, capital cameras. They wanted beach wheelchairs and a beach vehicle. The fire department with jet ski, a tractor, and the equipment to outfit the jet ski. The public works we're gonna put out more beach mats on the beach, and we're gonna replace the signs that are down there, lost children, etc. The events, we're gonna get barricades to kind of make our events a little bit more secure for kids running out in the street. We're going to supplement the salaries of events, which the police also help in all of that. And we're gonna make a $20,000 transfer to the pier. And that would be for the accommodations transfer, it's $251,000 for hospitality. The projects that we didn't finish last year that had to carry forward to this year. And then some other new ones. We had to fix the roof on the police station. We got the dispatch equipment was delayed due to COVID and shortages. We got the license plate reader. All Children's Park restroom was finished this year rather than last year. And we started to do engineering on the beach walk over at Fifth Avenue North. So that's a total of $166,625. You remember what the LPR of the agreement was that hospitality would pay half and the other half would come out of the drug funds. We don't normally budget the drug funds, but because it was the other side of the transaction, I put it on here for the come out of the drug funds. And then the last one is for the pier fund. We got that $1 million grant from the state. Thank you very much. And we wanted to reflect that we received that revenue. And that is all. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
When we had our budget meeting and we talked about the things that were going to change, one of the things was that a recommendation was made that we increase the amount of money that was given to the Autism Network.
That, I believe that was for next year. This is this year.
Okay.
I think that was, and it.
No, you're right, you're
Okay,
right.
so the meeting we're having next week, somebody does need to bring that up, because I don't have it in there, because I don't know what you want. Nobody ever really, that I caught, maybe I just missed
We'll
it.
bring that up.
But that's for next year's budget. This is for the budget we're in right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, there were a couple things that were deferred that I did not see in the first draft of our budget for ATAX allocations. I think we had the drone and,
Oh, yeah, we didn't put those in there
yeah,
for next year.
so that would have to go to next year's ATAX allocations.
I'd have to fix.
But I think as far as the CAN recommendation, we had a lowering of the price. Originally, we had a request for $50,000 for the drone for the fire department, but ended up finding out that that was only 35, so it gave us about a $15,000 difference. And what I had said or recommended at the time was, since April is Autism Awareness Month, that we should take some of that 15, and I would recommend amending this to include an additional 10 to the Champion Autism Network out of.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that at the meeting, I'm sorry. So you want to add 10 for CAN?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we can do that. Sorry about that. What about next year? You're going to bring something forward to change next year's too? I know Becky called me.
Yeah, I think next year's would be just subject to whatever that application is for in January. But I think we've got the ability, we've
Okay.
collected excess funds that need to be spent in this budget year.
We can do that.
That I would propose that we add that 10
Okay.
to,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I didn't remember that.
Does that need to be done in an amendment?
yeah, well, we'll make a motion here in a minute.
Approve this.
The only other thing, to make it clear, on the ordinance itself, and, we had a little email exchange on this, is the license plate reader at 50% needs to be shown under the hospitality fund.
Did you do-
Yeah, I mean, it's shown on the details, but it's not shown here. Unless I'm reading the numbers wrong again, which is.
Well, no, it's just, it's all one, the budget amendment itself is the total.
Oh, you're right, you
the
got
total
the
change.
166,625, you're right, I take it back,
That's fine.
yep, I take it back.
Mess it up all the time.
The
Okay,
only
so-
other thing was, there were a couple precursors to the approval we had on the 28th of February.
Okay.
One was the percentage allocation of ATAX money to public safety, equivalent to the percentage of general expenses that are associated with tourism. Now, the state law doesn't come up with any particular formula or how you calculate that, but there was a request that, we at least come up with our methodology of what that percentage looks like to make sure, we're allocating, about 150-ish to public safety, in addition to what we've already allocated in the 21-22 year.
Mhm.
So to make sure that we're not getting anywhere close to that percentage that would trigger the state limit.
Well, I think what I usually do is we look at each thing individually, and for the police department, we usually say that we add at least 3 more people and equipment in order to do tours, and the rest would be for the town. And I think we're well under that limit.
Do we have that documented anywhere as to this is how we satisfy that piece of the law?
I don't have it, I think I have it on my bed. We can get that.
Okay,
But we look
just
at
to
each,
keep us out of
yeah, we
trouble.
look at each individual expenditure and say, is this for tourists? Would we have to have this if we didn't have tourists? And we do that with each individual item, but we
Okay.
can do it all together for police, because we probably need to do it for public works too. We've done.
Well, and the other was, I believe it was Councilmember Kinkin brought up that there are still some pending recommendations from the peer committee to enhance certain features of the pier that we will look at once it's completed. And if any of this ATAX money, not necessarily the hospitality fund, but the ATAX money could be allocated to some of those features, And it was a request that these items be quantified in some way so we know what we're looking at. And do we have a feel for what any of those items, number one, are in the first place?
Not really, but it's one of the ones, as usual, it's the last budget to be tied down.
Yeah.
We have to get everybody's ideas, which we may have to do next Thursday again, to see if everybody has, get them all in one place.
Okay, because originally we had, and I forget what the number was, but the 251.5 is less than the.
And it's 326 or
Yeah,
352.
so
something.
we still
We have
got
it.
some money
Right, and you can
that we need
allocate
to
that,
spend this year.
we could, or you can just allocate it and you can do it next year. When you know the pier is done and what you really need, which might even be a better idea, because otherwise we aren't gonna spend it by the end of June.
Yeah, because we have to spend it by the end of the 23-24 budget.
Correct, but I mean, if you set it up now and you don't spend it, it's just gonna go into the
Right.
pool anyway.
Right.
I would suggest that you just leave it for right now, and then next year, once you get it up and running, I need this, I need this, I need this. And we'll find the best ways. It might be better to take it out of hospitality than ATAX, but we'll have to,
Right.
do a juggling.
Yeah, I think we just have to, I'm sure somewhere you keep track of how much is left that has to be spent from year over year. So just make sure we get to that.
Yeah.
So therefore, Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to amend ordinance number 23-0954 to include an additional accommodation tax allocation of $10,000 to the Champion Autism Network to celebrate National Autism Month in April.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion on this before we vote?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I know in our budget this year, we had almost $2 million, over $2 million for construction of the court, council, police.
No, we didn't.
Uh,
Well, I think we had the design, we might have had, I don't remember off the top of my head, I'm not looking. at it.
Well, we're not doing it, obviously, but
Right.
do we need, is the preach in there? Because we did make a
Yes, the
contract.
preach is part of that,
So
yes.
that's in there. Okay, we don't have to change for that.
We
No.
took the money that was there, that 2-something million, that was American Rescue money. We took it and separated that and took it out of there until we get the pier done.
Here's gonna be done first.
So I mean, that money didn't go anywhere. We still have that money, but it's sitting on the side.
Right, one other thing I will say to you for Thursday's meeting, I have to report to the government at the end of April what you're gonna do with that money.
Sure.
So we have to have a big plan or no plan or plan down the road, I just have to tell them something by April
And
3rd,
we'll be talking about that next week.
just so you all know.
That was the only thing that came up.
Sure.
That's only the first year's allocation. We've got another year on the second year, or is that both years?
No, so now it's gonna be, you've gotten 2 allocations, I already reported on the first allocation, that we spent the 90,000, and we were still deciding what we were gonna do. So now we have 2 allocations, so they wanna know what you're gonna do now.
Gotcha.
Sherry?
Councilman Drake,
Yes.
Councilman Keating,
Yes.
Councilman Craigwell,
Yes.
Councilman Keating,
Yes,
Councilman Holder,
Yes.
Councilman Stamey,
Yes.
Mayor Hellier.
Yes. So that was the amendment for the $10,000 for Can.
Mhm.
So Sherry, do you want to go on the original?
It passed.
no, it passed.
You don't
Amended.
amend it, you don't.
Oh,
do
the amendment
original.
passed.
Yeah. Okay, okay. All right, thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, well,
All right, and the next thing is the Santee Cooper presentation. Chief Columbus.
Thank you, sir. So I am, I'm doing this for Director John Adair. And the subject for this is the next phase of the underground wiring conversions. And the purpose of this is for council to direct staff on the next phase desired of the underground wiring conversion. Some of the facts and discussion points is the town is in position through our franchise fund with Santee Cooper to begin engineering on our next phase of underground wiring. The logical project will take place on Ocean Boulevard. The town completed 3rd North to 3rd South in 2013 and 3rd South to 9th South in 2017. The next realistic project will be 3rd North to 9th North. This is to enhance the aesthetics of the central hub as well as being significantly less expensive than completing 9th South to Melody Lane. It's $4.3 million versus $8 million estimate. These projects are coming in at a higher cost than past projects. 3rd to 9th South was approximately 1.2 million, and there's many factors related to that I'm sure all of you in the community knows. Director John Adair and Mayor Hellier met with Santee Cooper recently to go over the status of the fund. The utilities allow us to go into the red as long as 3 years accruals without interest or penalty. We can engineer and build out 3rd to 9th North project over the next 3 years. And we would have to let the fund build back up over that time period. The next phase will be started in approximately 2035 after this phase. This lag to build funds will be the new normal for doing projects like this. Based on the reality, staff needs direction from council to proceed with this plan or an alternative. We would need to wait a few more years on the accruals to begin 9th South to Melody Lane, if that was the desire of council to wait. The fund grows at about $400,000 per year. Funds have been placed in the proposed budget to begin engineering. So the recommendation is for council to move forward with the 3rd North to 9th North underground wiring project and direct staff to proceed with those plans.
Okay, I'd like to say something on this because I was in on the meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Point of order, point of order, we need a motion to discuss this item.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we accept the recommendation from John Adair from the 3rd North to the 9th North. Underground cable.
Okay. I'll go on with what I was saying now, that, you know, every year Santee Cooper comes to us twice a year and they give us a check. And that check is their franchise fee that we have for them operating the electricity in our town. Okay. And there's an agreement worked out that they not only give us a franchise fee check, but they also put money aside for future projects, right? We've used that fund before. We used that fund to do the underground utilities that we have on Ocean Boulevard. Back then, the price is minuscule compared to what it is now. It is 4 or 5 times as much now as it was before. So, you know, in the last 4 years, I've been working after we did the 9th North, we need to still go to Melody Lane, and we still need to go the other direction. So I've been working with them, and the problem is that it would take forever to get that money done. And while we're talking about it, in the last 3 years, that price has gone up 3 times as much. So when we talked about it before, there's also an agreement that we have X number of dollars right here, right? And in that fund, the way that in reading the franchise agreement, it says we can borrow 4 times that amount from Santee Cooper. All we're doing is sort of like taking an advance on the money that we will be getting. So the bottom line is it's going to cost us $4-something million to do the 3rd North to 9th North. The good part about it is it costs the town nothing, okay? Because we're not having to pay for anything. We're taking the money that we already have in our franchise fee, which the money we have right now, we're taking that out and using it for the engineering, because the engineering has to be done first before we do it. And then the money Santee Cooper will do it is just that basically we're going to owe Santee Cooper through that fund until that money gets paid back. So it's not like we need to put this in the budget or we need to get anything done. The money is there, and it's Santee Cooper's money that we're using to improve in the town. And I just wanted to let everybody know that it's not like we're borrowing money to get this done. Well, we are borrowing money, but it's against our franchise agreement. It's not money that's coming out of our budget.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
And this also covers what what was decided about is it's cheaper to do the north side than it was from Ninth to Melody. Is why they came up with this north side. It ain't nothing special to the north side. It was just a cheaper way of getting our next phase of our power put under the ground. So I want everybody to know, we're not showing favoritism to the north or the south. It was just dollar wise. It was made on a decision of dollar wise.
When we sat down with Santee Cooper, they basically said to go from 9th north or 9th south to Melody Lane is like $8,000 to $9,000. And then to go from 9th to 16th is the same price to go north. The only little section that we have is that 3rd to 9th. And that was what we could afford, and that's why we went with that option. Because it is an option, and it's something that we can be getting this construction done right now instead of waiting until we get the money built up on it.
So, Mr. Mayor, if I understand this correctly, we build the fund at about $400,000 a year. So going into the red for 3 years worth of the accruals, that's $1.2 million. The balance we have in the fund currently is about $1.2 million. So that's $2.4 million. We need another $1.9 million to pay for the project.
But here's the deal, just to do the engineering on this, right? It's not like we're gonna start Ocean Boulevard and do this project tomorrow. Just to start to get the engineering done, it's gonna cost us a year. So we're gonna get that taken care of first. So we'll get that done first, and then during that time that we're doing the engineer, we'll have another year's worth of accrual. And then when we start, during that, it's a 4-year project, we're gonna have funds coming in during that 4 years to make it up. That's why he said, what was the year, 2035? Yeah.
So at the end of the project, we have up to 3 more years to pay off the total value of the project.
Well, it depends how long it takes them to do the project. I don't know how long it's gonna take them. I think it's talking them about 4 years. But we're still paying off, or we were still paying off the 3rd Street and the Route 17, as far as I know. Because that came out of our franchise fee too, didn't it? Dinah, you could probably answer that.
Before Diana gets up there, it's 3 years. From what John has here, the utility allows us to go in the red as much as 3 years without interest or penalty. I think that's what.
Okay, so if we have 1.2, it takes us 3 years to do the project. That gives us another 1.2, so we have 2.4. We can use up to another 1.2 of 3 years worth of accrual to pay for that project that was 4.3. We're still shy.
But then we can borrow on that 3 years.
Go ahead, Dan.
In the past, hospitality ordinance does allow us to use it for underground. So hospitality supplemented the 3rd Avenue South by Benjamin's Bagels. That was supplemented by that. So that is always an option.
Okay.
But, Mr. Mayor, if we put this project off, y'all, as you can see, is the cost of this stuff is going up tremendously every year. I mean, tremendously. And if we put it off for another 2 or 3 years, it's hard to tell what it'll cost to do that little section. I mean, it's just knowing fact that if we don't get started on it soon, we're looking at a long time and never get nothing underdone.
I've met with Santee Cooper approximately 6 times over the last 3 years, and that's every time they come and give us a franchise check, okay? And that's been number 1 on our priorities. Let's finish up the underground that we got on Ocean Boulevard. And it's taken us 3 years to get where we are right now, where everybody's come to an agreement to get it done. So I think it's beneficial that we move forward on it and that we don't wait.
And I know talking with Director Adair, he feels the same way from a cost escalation perspective, to move on this now.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, I mean, I'm not opposed to doing the project. I just like to define where we were getting this money, because what's just said on the surface, that money is not there to pay off the project. So if we do have availability of hospitality tax or other sources, then, when this project ends, we've only got 3 years to pay it off. We don't have 3 years of accrual. We still have more money that's owed on the project. So we're gonna have to dip into hospitality tax at some point in the next 3 to 6 years to finance this project. I don't want you to think that, oh, this is all just gravy money and it falls out of the sky and it's free, because those numbers don't add up.
Okay, any further discussion? Sherry?
Mr. Drake,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Clegg-Paul,
Yes.
Ms. Keating,
Yes,
Mr. Holder,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mayor Hellier.
Yes. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is public comments, and these are public comments about services or business conducted.
Mr. Mayor, before we move on, can I ask Administrator a question?
Sure.
At some point, can we get a presentation by the peer committee on the stuff they've been working on? I know some of it, somebody else knows more than I do. I would just like to see us have them do a presentation so we're all on the same page, and preferably before we get the budget done.
Absolutely, Mr. Kinkin, I don't
Okay.
think that's a problem at all. And I know, I thought I saw Robert come in, so I can definitely get with Robert on that. We can do a
Perhaps
presentation.
you can work that out on next Monday.
Yes, and we might be able to do it even next, council meeting.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes, sir.
All right, are there any public comments? This is the night of no public comments.
Fine, why don't you come?
Okay, the next thing is town council discussion and comments, and we'll start out with Mr. Drake.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight and joining us live and in person. And thank you to John Adair getting the power company stuff squared away for us. And again, we got a lot of things coming up with Surfside Beautiful. The Easter coming around the corner. Want everybody to try to please come out to that. Be at the down at the pier to the left side, probably 3rd Avenue between there. Be really nice to see the whole town come out to that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Kinker.
I want to thank everybody that's here and people that are listening in. I have a special thanks for Diana. She has put in a tremendous amount of work and is still working. The budget is going to be a bear, and she's working as hard as she can to present us with good choices. I thanked the chief last week. He's still doing a great job. We're very fortunate that he was here at the time he's here. I'm looking forward to our interviews with potential replacements. And, there's just so much going on, and it's all on his plate. Everything that happens in this town goes through his plate at some point. So just know that he's doing us a great job. I want to thank all our staff. They've given good feedback to Diana and the chief, and we're working on the budget. And that doesn't affect their day-to-day. Everything they have to do is still being done, and they're just doing a great job. And of course, public safety we're very fortunate to have the public safety people that we have. In fact, we're very fortunate to live in this town. I've said that before, and I believe it wholeheartedly. We're very fortunate to live here. And with that, that's it.
Mr. Cricklaw.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out. I see some new faces. Come on back. It's always good to see people taking interest in what's going on. I'd like to mention that everyone should at least stop in and say hi at Neil and Pam's this Friday for their reopening. It's been a long time coming, and they're kind of a staple, and pretty much everyone who lives in town has at least been there a few times. Other than that, I guess come back next time and see you later.
Yeah, I'd like always, thank everybody for coming out and all of their feedback and input. I've had about enough of the emails about Save the Geese and from New York and New Hampshire and wherever else they come from, but, I think we're getting very close to being on the right track. I do appreciate and thank Chief Clemens' leadership in stepping up and taking the position of interim administrator. It's never easy, especially in a time where we're dealing with the budget and, dealing with bringing the pier project to completion and some of the other challenges and misunderstandings and miscommunications and differing opinions that we run into constantly. So I think we're getting there. I want to thank the business committee under the leadership of Tom Banish. They had their first business with a twist, I think you called it. And it was basically a reintroduction of the business committee to the business community. Much of our business owners didn't even know we had a committee that's there to help them. So it was very well attended. It was well supported by our local businesses, and those kind of opportunities to interact and ask their questions and seek counsel and seek help will continue. So I wanted to thank Tom, especially since he's here. Thank you for you and your team. And with that, just want to say, as always, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Thank you.
Mr. Holt.
Yes, I want to thank everybody that's coming out tonight, and I want to thank Diana for doing a great job, her and Rob doing it for the budget meeting last week. It was good, and we got 2 more to get this ironed out and to get ready for next year, and we're on our way now, so that's a great thing. I thought it was great last weekend, last Saturday. We went to Huckabee Field to the baseball. And I tell you, these little guys, I don't know how old they were, but they were little.
Some of them are 6.
6 years old. And I think the bat would be bigger than they are, But to see them guys out there in their uniforms and all the ages up, it was great to see. Over 300 kids were there. And that is a great thing that we have out there. And it was great to be there Saturday for the event. And so I'm also excited that Neil and Pam's going to open back up. And it's about time. It seemed like it's been forever. And yeah, but it's great. Great to have it back open. So thank you and see you next.
Mr. Staley.
I'd like to start off with saying thanks to everybody for coming out, and a great thanks to the staff, Diana, Chief, all the department heads. We have here in town a great staff. Everybody talks about them sometimes that they shouldn't, but we do have a good staff, and they do work hard for every one of us, not just for themselves, for the money. They work hard for every one of us. And to iterate what Paul said, I was out at Huckabee Field this Saturday too for the kids' opening game. I got to throw out one of the pitches to our catcher, one of the catchers out there, and I had the guy sign the ball, and he signed it Ben. And I just would like to recognize that group for all the work they do out there. It's amazing. And if any of you get a chance, go out there and watch the kids play. Just it is a lot of fun just to sit there and watch these kids play ball. And we have a great relationship with that sports athletics out there. And I hope we continue that. And we have a lot of meetings coming up. Lots. And I'd like to see every one of you come and listen and get an idea of what we listen to. You'll get a better idea how hard it is to bite out money that we don't have, or it's hard to get. So please, anybody that's interested, next week we got a couple meetings going on. We're going to get to meet some of our candidates for the administrator job. Come and sit and listen to them. You get a better idea of what they're doing. I'm saying that. Thanks to everybody. Thanks, Rob, again.
Okay, I'll talk about Huckabee just a little bit too. Everybody's been talking over the last year about Huckabee and how it's a one-way agreement and how we don't do this and the things that we should do, and it needs maintenance, and we're doing all this work and we're not getting anything back. So we've had some sit downs with the people of Huckabee and talked about everything and basically tried to work out new terms. Our lease is continuing, so it goes every January. Well, we worked on it, and we had something going and everything, and then all of a sudden it sort of came to it, and January came, so their lease renewed. Okay, so now we got to worry about it. If we're going to do anything, we need to worry about it next year. But at the same time, Huckabee's really stepped up. You know, council took a tour over there on Huckabee last year and basically saw the problems that were out there. Their snack bar had like a fire in it. And it was like, it wasn't good at all. And I mean, I wouldn't want to serve food out of that snack bar and stuff like that. Well, during these talks that we've had with Huckabee went in at their own expense. They tore the whole snack bar out. They rebuilt it and did everything. They put a new stairway in. They went and took the thing they dragged the fields with, and they got some tractor place to donate $4,000 for the dragger to level out the fields. So I mean, Huckabee is working with us, and you know, we still need to go into negotiation. We still need to have some talks with them, but I'm rather impressed on what they've done. And when you go out there and see 300 kids, and they're all there for a reason, and they're all having a good time with smiles on their faces and everything else, that's the town of Surfside providing this service. Maybe not for everybody in the town, but for the whole community. And I think that's a good thing. Neil and Pam's, it's been a long time. And they did a soft opening the other day, and I hear that place has been packed all day. So I don't know what it's going to be like at 4:00 on Friday, but I would like everybody to come and show them that we support them. And it's coming back, and we like it to be here. So with that, I know this is a short meeting, and I know y'all aren't used to that. So, you know, with that, I think we're done for the evening. If I have a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.
I thought I'd tell you, make it short so we get out here on 7:30.